Over to the amazing, as always, Ryan Behrens. His first day
Well,
on the job, so be kind, okay?
yeah, there you go. Set that bar real low for me, all right?
All right,
I'm
you're
gonna
on,
try and
Ryan.
share my screen here if I can. Looks like it's working pretty well. All right. Is everybody able to see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good deal. All right, so yeah, my name's Ryan Behrens, and I believe I've come out a few times and spoke to some different employees there back when we could do things in person. But I coordinate the financial education center that Delta Community Credit Union offers, and I work with Chris. We're in the business and community development department, and so kind of like you mentioned, we're it's part of our goals to help our community, help our business partners, and it's just a great privilege that, we get to myself and our other teammates here in our department get to go out and speak to um, different people about how to improve their finances and how to, manage their money a little bit better and hopefully achieve any type of financial goals they have. And so it's really just part of the credit union's mission to go out there and do that, not just sell a lot of products and services, but also help people understand money and manage it better. I've been in the industry for about 14 and a half years now, and I've worked at one of the another large credit union. I've worked at one of the large banks, and so, I've been around the block a little bit. I've worked as a banker. I've helped people, work with their money and their accounts and things like that. So, let me know throughout if you have any questions. Like I said, I think Chris will manage the chat. I'll be glad to try and get to those as best I can. So, but starting off today, we are going to talk about budgeting this afternoon, right? The basics of budgeting. And really, this is the foundation of everything that you want to do with money, honestly. Before we go out and borrow money, maybe we want to get a mortgage or, you know, you get a new car, or before we start investing heavily or any really type of financial goals, we really want to have a budget in place. And I don't know what the budget connotation kind of elicits to everybody. You can drop in the chat. If I say, the word budget, does that make, positive thing, or does it sound like, something like a chore, right? Like having to do laundry or go on a diet or something like that. Hopefully that, isn't too much of a negative thing. But, for this purpose, for a budget, we really just want you to think of it as a spending plan, right? If that kind of helps it go down a little bit easier. But, it's just a spending plan. It's just a plan for your money. And really, a budget, is not there to prevent you from doing things, right? A spending plan, a budget, it's not there to prevent you. It's there to allow you to do things, right? To allow you to go out and do the things you want to do without feeling guilty about it or without having anxiety about spending money or, spending money we don't have or overspending or something like that. That's what it's really there to help, right? Just a way to organize everything, to understand what's coming in, what's going out, and it helps you make better decisions as you go along month to month, year to year, right? So um, it'll, like I mentioned, some of the things here, it also helps with savings. You can, make sure you're prioritizing that, paying yourself first, helps you avoid charging items, build that emergency fund, right? That spending uncontrollably. I know when I was younger, a lot of times when I was younger, I'd kind of go and just, we get paid and then we'd buy something. Maybe we sent in the rent check and bought some groceries, went out to eat here and there, and you think you have, "Oh, I'm sure I've got about $600-700 left in my account." And then you go to check it, and there's $4.80 has got to last you another week and a half, right? So having a spending plan in place, it really helps with all those different things. Um, Before we put pen to paper or pencil to paper and start adding up all the numbers and things like that, you really need to have kind of a destination where you want to go with your money, right? We want to set some goals in place. I don't know if you ever have to travel somewhere, right? you take a trip, whether it's vacation, see a friend, whoever, we always think about where we're starting from, where we want to go, what's the address, the destination, how are we going to get there, what's the best route to get there. And it's kind of similar with money, right? We want to have our goals in mind when we put together our budget so we know how to incorporate those goals will help us, set that plan in place to achieve them. Now, a lot of people may say, hey, yeah, I've got a few goals and, I'm kind of thought about it, but we really encourage people to be as specific as possible. As I don't know if anybody here has heard of the SMART acronym before. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-oriented. So, instead of saying, if I have a goal, I want to pay off debt, right? You try to use the SMART method. Instead, you would say, I want to pay off my credit card debt of $1,200 within 12 months so I can allocate more of my income to my retirement savings, right? So, this goal is specific because I know what the money's being used for. It's measurable, right? I know I want to pay $1,200. It's attainable since I know, $100 a month kind of fits into my budget. And it's realistic or relevant because it aligns with my values of wanting to retire early. And of course, we have the time component of 12 months, right? So we're able to take that 1,200 divided by 12, and it gives us that $100 to plug into our budget, right? So, go through and do that with whatever goals you may have, whether they're huge goals like, hey, I want to retire in 30 years, or I want to just, buy a new iPad or, take a vacation in a few months, something like that, right? A, uh, a, a safe vacation where we're, trying to keep our social distance, I guess, as well. But so, really encourage you to go in and do that. Any type of goals you have, write them down, be specific. And in that way, we have something in place where we can plug in, right, to our budget. Does anybody have any cool goals out there? Let me know if you've got it in the chat. Feel free to drop in the chat if anybody's got any fun goals they're trying to save up for now. So, all right, when we think about our goals as well, we also want to think about the time component as well. So, based on how long we have to achieve those goals, where we're going to put our money, will make a difference. So if I've got a short-term, goal of maybe like here, you want to build up my emergency savings. I want to get maybe I'm still kind of working on that. I want to get that first $1,800 in there to get established, right? That's going to be more of a short-term goal and something that I'm likely going to put in a savings account at a credit union or bank where it's just cash, it's accessible, right? I'm not looking for that money to grow and invest. It's just something that's there if I need it. It's easily accessible. All right. Midterm stuff, you're thinking maybe 3 to 5 years. Maybe you want to repay some debt, refinish your house or something like that. And that's something, you kind of put in that time frame. Maybe you can look at something like a CD or something where you're trying to earn a little bit more money because you have a little bit longer time to get there. And then any long-term goals like 5+ years, then we have a little bit of time to help that, to try and make that money work for us a little bit, right? So maybe we can invest it. We're trying to gain interest on it. And also we have a little bit of time to, if there's any sort of, storms that pop up, we can weather those, right? Any down periods or something, we have enough time on our radar where we can eventually make up for that and hopefully, keep building toward a positive, gain there. So just an example there, you can see a few totals needed. They broke it down by months based on the year, and you have a total, right? This person has $750. We're going to plug into our budget. So keep that in mind. We'll keep that 750 number, right? Or for you, whatever you do, for your goals, just tally it up and know what what you're ready to plug in. And so next thing we want to do, like I mentioned, we gotta decide or determine where we're driving from, right? And so same thing with money. We want to do that by calculating our net worth. I don't know if anybody here has calculated their net worth in the past year or 2 years or ever. Be curious to see if anybody's done that before. But it's a real simple process, right? Basically, to to determine your net worth, I don't know if anybody here also works in maybe accounting or finance or has any, run their own type of business, but it's net worth is kind of like your balance sheet, right? You kind of know what your debts are, what your assets are. And so it's easy to calculate that on a personal level. Basically, we take all of our assets, which are just what we own, right? Any cash we have and savings, any investments we have. Do we have a 401k or a retirement account or other type of investments? Any large assets we could turn to cash, like our home, right? If we sold our home, what would be the value of that home? Our car as well. Really anything that you have like that of value. And you can kind of take it as far as you want. Most people, right, it's cash, investments, maybe a home and car, and a couple other maybe big ticket items. But right, so you add all that up, and that's going to give your assets. Next, what you do is take all your debts, right? So we may have to gather any type of information or statements or anything from credit cards and student loans or mortgage balance, right? We get all of that info, and then we add all of that up. So we get a picture of our total debts, and then we subtract our debts from our assets, and that gives us our net worth, right? So pretty easy calculation. It can vary, by a lot. If you're not quite where you want to be with your net worth, that's okay. That's why we do it. So we know kind of what we need to work on. If we see that, right, and maybe open some eyes or, light bulb flicks or something, we say, okay, I need to work on this or that. Then, go back to your goals if you need to and decide, all right, do I need to make some adjustments here, right? So it's just kind of like a measurable assessment of financial health. All right. Any questions on that so far? All right. Keep moving. All right. So now everybody's favorite part, right? Now we've got our net worth. We understand what goals we're trying to achieve. Now we're going to actually write down and put the components together for our budget, right? For our spending plan. And again, it's pretty simple, not too tough. We're going to list all of our income sources, right? Whether it's your paycheck and, anything else, etc. Then we're going to determine where our money goes. So we're going to look back and see what we spend our money on, how much we typically spend on these different expense categories, what those categories are, right? Implement any new ones we want to add. And then we're going to balance that, right? So we're going to then make our adjustments where, okay, this is how much I want to go to each of my expenses. Make sure it's balanced. We're talking about a zero-based budgeting, which means we want to have pretty much every dollar accounted for as best we can. We can have a miscellaneous category, that's okay. But and then once we balance, it's not over. We got to continue to manage it, right? Maybe the most important part is tracking your expenses, right? Just staying on top and going in and just making sure, hey, I'm accounting for everything. I'm on track with what I'm doing. I'm not overspending and things like that, right? So, and that's it. That's the webinar. Thank you guys for coming out. I'll see you guys next time. I'm just kidding. But that's pretty much everything, right, for a budget. We'll go a little more in depth here. So I'm going to bust out the spreadsheet. So, in a minute, don't get too excited, everybody. I'm going to give you kind of an example of kind of, a way that you can go in and do it. All right. So like I mentioned, the income sources, right? Just some things here to think about. Don't forget any income. I don't know how many people forget they have money coming in, but if you got a paycheck, if you got a Social Security income, you have rental property, you earn dividends, you can account for bonuses and things like that, right? Just make sure you're including everything. If you're in a job where you earn like a commission or a bonus, you're in sales or something like that, I typically like to recommend you always estimate your income if it's going to fluctuate, right? So estimate on the low end, so that, it's easier to work with more money than you think you have than less, right? So just kind of estimate what your average may have been over the past 12 months and then kind of go on the low end of that. Annual bonuses and things like that. I just like to kind of include those as what they are, right? A bonus. I'm not going to, if it's an annual thing, I don't include it, in a monthly breakdown. I just, hey, when it comes in, we're going to make those decisions of what we want to do with it. And so, just kind of some tips there. Second part we talk about is determine our monthly expenses, right? There's a few examples here what we talk about, but what you want to do is go through. I don't know. I'm assuming most people use online banking and online bill pay and all that. You may still use paper statements and things, but go back. Log in. Look at what you spend typically. In these different categories over the past 12 months. Most of us know what our rent or mortgage payment is. Most of us know what the cable bill or the car note is going to be, right? So we may know that, but we need to go in and look at, all right, how much do I really spend on groceries, right? How much do I really spend on dining out? I don't know, has anybody done that before? I don't know if I'm looking in the right chat. Chat's a little quiet today. I may just not be in the right one, but I don't know if anybody's done that recently and tallied up what they spend. If you did you like what you see? Did you, have an eye-opening moment? Um,
Uber Eats, Ryan. Uber
is
Eats.
what?
Uber Eats.
Uber Eats. There you go. That's right.
That's been a
Was it
killer
Uber
being at
Eats?
home. You add that
That's right.
up, it gets up there fast. So
That's right. We think we'd be home making more, but no, we just found a way to have the fast food delivered. That's
have
it.
someone else make it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll find a way to spend money. We're good at that. Um, but yeah, so really tally that up, right? Maybe there are some things that come up every now and then that you don't even really remember that you spend money on. And then and that's where we hopefully have that aha moment, right? So once we kind of see what we're really spending, create your categories or where you want to put your money. And there's some examples here. It's you can go fixed, flexible, or periodic, right? Where okay, I have a list of all my fixed expenses. Here's everything that kind of varies, the flexible, and then things like maybe insurance or taxes, where I get every quarter or year or something we can include there. Some people may break it down by necessities or discretionary, and then kind of miscellaneous. That's fine too. Whatever categories you decide, there's no wrong answer. Do what works best for you, right? So I'll show you real quick, kind of what I use as well. Um, right? When we use our categories. And then, like I said, when we're finding, we call them spending leaks. When you see that, hey, I think I probably spend $300 a month on eating out. Everybody uses the dining out stuff, right? But you go back and look and you see that you're really spending $450. Like, whoa, okay, I got to cut that back, right? Um, this is your chance to really go in and see where you can possibly free up some cash. Maybe have some like subscription services or something like that you're not using. You see like a recurring payment, right? You can cut that out. Ask yourself, have I used this product or service in the past 12 months? Am I getting value from it? If I cut it out, would it, affect me? Right. So,
Hey Ryan, like
yeah,
Sirius radio, satellite radio, since most of us are at home, that's a good one that I cut first thing. I don't listen to the
yeah,
radio that much. So
yeah.
on my once a week drive to the grocery store. So
There you
yeah,
go.
gotta start small.
That's right. Hey, see what you can. I think there's some apps out there that actually will link up and help you look through it, but they
Yeah.
take your account information. So, be careful with that. But a good time too, like if you see, your vices, right? Coffee, tobacco, alcohol, all that stuff, right? Might be a good time to, hey, all right, this is what I'm really spending on that. Wow. So, basically what we're saying is don't have any fun anymore. All right. So I'm just kidding, but just get an idea, right? Gym memberships, all of that good stuff. Go through, look at um your utilities and stuff too, not just the daily stuff. Like if you haven't um, gotten an insurance quote the past 12 months, right? 12 to 18 months, auto insurance, home insurance, it may benefit you to do that because most places is a free quote. There's no obligation. I've done that a couple times over the past 5 years. It's gonna save like 60, $70 a month the first time. And then a couple of years ago, I switched to one through Delta Community through our broker, Members Insurance Advisors. I saved about 30, $40 there. So if you're interested, let us know. Members Insurance Advisors, it's a broker. They, put their information. You go online, you submit a quote. They put information out to several A-rated carriers, and then it comes back, hey, here's a quote. If it saves you money, awesome. If not, there's no cost or obligation, right? So, or you go to the major carriers if you want to. Um, so I'm going to show you guys real quick the Spreadsheet, just use as an example, right? You can use whatever you want. I don't know if does anybody here use what do y'all use? Does anybody here that's on a written budget currently? Do you use a spreadsheet? Do you use your online banking? Do you use like what is it, Quicken? Yeah, not QuickBooks, Quicken, or maybe an app or something like that. Always curious to know what other people use. Do you have an answer? Oh, I think Chris is muted. Are you muted? I just can't hear you.
Spreadsheet seems to be the popular answer. So
you're in the right. Well, they're in the right place. So hopefully, can you see the one?
Spreadsheets.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. All right, I'm just not able to see the chat. Okay, cool. No, that's good. That's good. That's good. Can you see the sheet that I'm sharing now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, so this is just an illustration. All right, you don't have to use this one. If you'd like a copy, I'm happy to send you guys one. That's no problem. This is what I use as well. Because it does all the calculations for you. But any type of version, app, whatever is good. This kind of just to illustrate how we can do it, right? So you'll see down here we have our actual budget, right? Down here, the first tab on the left, this is your budget. This is what we're going to set our categories, right? Once we've gone in and look at what we spend, now we're going to determine how much we want to spend in those categories, right? So we go in, we can plug in our income, right? Maybe we got a couple people, we're in a dual household. So both bringing in 2,000, just some random numbers here. All right, and then you can go in any way you want. If you want to make sure you're prioritizing savings, go ahead and put in those savings, right? I'm going to make sure I'm putting, $200 maybe to emergency fund, maybe putting like $50 into the kids if you got kids. Then maybe you want to go to the different necessities, make sure mortgage or rent is paid, groceries are paid, right? So, you go in and play with it, put the numbers in. You may have to change some things here and there to make them work, right? But just get to the point where everything looks good for you. Rent, as you can see here too, the way I kind of have the category set up is based on I have savings, debt payments, and then a column for daily expenses, right? These are the things that I can affect on a daily basis, right? By not, swiping my debit card somewhere. And these are the things, the monthly payments, right? These are like utilities and stuff that if I wanted to make a change in these, I'd have to change service providers or something like that. All right. So like I said, usual works for you. And, just plug in. I won't go through all of them. Don't worry. Go ahead and plug in how much, you want to try and keep your budget to in each one of these categories. And there may be people may have different ones and everything might not pertain, but if you like a copy, we send it over. Just know you can always change different columns and stuff, right? You just right click it and insert a row, right? Or you can type out different names and stuff for them. So, all right, so I've got everything. Ideally for this, we want all of this column here or this cell here to be a 0. All right, because this is what we're setting our budget to be, or at least as close to 0 as we can. So, and these are all of our expenses based on our income. And so we're going to keep plugging in here until we get this as close to 0 as we can. And once we have this set, all right, okay, cool. I've planned out. I've got my plan set. This is what I'm going to do. This is how much is coming from our income into the different expenses and savings and debt payoff. And now the next part is just tracking it, right? So once you do that, you start keeping tabs. Again, this is where a spreadsheet may not be quite as convenient because you do have to manually go in and enter things. There are programs like Delta Community has a free money management tool to all of our members. It's called Money Management, and it's in your online banking, right? You click on online banking, and you can, you put all your goals, you set your budget, and it pulls the information from your actual transactions, right, in your online banking, your checking account. You can upload external accounts if you want to put in, or at least put in the information. If you've got a brokerage or an investment account, you've got a Capital One card or whatever it is, you can put that in there, and it'll set. You can do your net worth. You can check savings and debt payoff goals and all that fun stuff too. The net worth is pretty cool because it gives you kind of a line over time to see how it works, which is kind of cool, or how you're progressing. Most online banking services, most banks At least larger banks have something like that in their online banking system. So, if you use that, that's cool too. It just, pulls from your transactions. There's something called mint.com, which is a website and an app that people can download. Just know that Mint, like the online banking services, they pull directly from your account. So you have to go into Mint and put in your account number and routing number, and then they then link up to your account. It's a free service, or at least it's a freemium service. Like the base service is free. They try to upgrade you to the premium product. But millions of people use it. It's probably one of the more popular apps and sites. Some people aren't big on having to link their accounts, right? So always do your research before you use any app or service or something like that. Um, and there's something also called Clear Checkbook, which is kind of similar to Mint, but you manually put in your information, right? Clearcheckbook.com. And of course, Dave Ramsey has Every Dollar. There's YNAB, You Need a Budget, right? Is another type of platform people use. So, you don't have to use a spreadsheet. Yeah, you can use a account ledger. You want to write it down, whatever's most convenient for you, right? So, but anyway, we just keep track of it throughout the month, right? So, we put in our income, make sure we got that plugged in. And the thing is, like, if some of this stuff is stable, you can go ahead and copy and paste and send it, for everything. And so, right, we make sure we're putting everything in. I like to make sure anything that's set to go, if I got a recurring payment, just go ahead and plug those bad boys in, right? Maybe it's auto loan or whatever it is. You're going to set up transfers to saving. Highly recommend that. Just go ahead and have it maybe when paycheck or the beginning of the month hits, that money just gets transferred in there. You can kind of go ahead and account for it. I am a big fan of having multiple savings accounts. So, as long as they have a purpose. So if that's kind of how I do it myself. So if I've got savings goals, right, one's for emergency fund, one's for some kids, one's for like home improvement repairs, I have a separate savings account set up for each one. Just wherever you do your banking at, make sure there's no stipulations. Like, Delta Community, of course, there's no monthly service fee for it. You don't have to be connected to anything or swipe a card or have a deposit, right? So just anywhere you go, just make sure you're not paying for these services, that it is free to open multiple. But as guys only have a purpose, you're good. And there's been studies out there that say that people who have multiple accounts tend to save more because they kind of feel an obligation to put money in the accounts. There's a study out in India a few years ago that showed people actually saved a good bit more. But in any case, so plug your numbers in, keep track of everything. Maybe I've spent $100 at the grocery store this month so far. Right, the utility bill. As soon as I get the utility bill, I go ahead and pay it. I go into online banking, set it up to pay, plug it in my spreadsheet. I just have this open, right, while I'm paying bills, and I can just plug the numbers in, right, when it works. And then a lot of times you can export spreadsheet or something from whatever online banking system you use. You might be able to copy and paste in there. So, but that's it. So you keep track, super important. You'll see here as you go from month to month. Right, for this one, you slip over to February after you've done January, and you can see here this tab brings over the previous month's surplus or delinquency, right? So if I've got an extra couple $100 that I didn't spend from the previous month, it'll roll over here, and now I can decide, all right, what am I going to do with this? Am I putting a few extra bucks in savings? Am I going to throw an extra few bucks to that credit card, right? So kind of manage it. All right, and then up here too, savings. Of course, when we're paying ourselves, we're treating ourselves as an expense. Goes into our savings account, comes from our income. That's in the expense tab. If we take the money out of our savings account, right, to use for whatever purpose, then we're going to count that as income. All right, so maybe I had to make a transfer of $300 this month, and because I'm going to put a little extra money toward whatever, or I saved up for something, right? I saved up for a trip, and I put in my savings. Now I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to use it to pay for that trip, right? So we just kind of make sure we're including that, and then we'll put all our expenses as we go, right? But this is great. I really, that's one of the advantage, right, of having a budget or having it written down and tracking it is, bills come out at different times. They have different due dates, bills, debts, whatever it is. You may look in your checking account, and whatever balance you see may not necessarily be what you have to spend, right? And so by having your totals here, you've got a better ability to make decisions, right, throughout the days, throughout the weeks. So I know, okay, cool, I have this much money left. Sure, let's go, let's go to Ruth's Chris or whatever. We're good. Or hey, we're under a certain threshold. Let's make some peanut butter sandwiches or something like that, right? Ramen or whatever. So, it can help you determine that, right? It prevents you from getting in trouble, right? Before the trouble happens, it helps you avoid it. So, I'm a big fan of that. And there is a net worth tab here as well. So, if you can use that, basically just these two are these top portions here, auto populate. You just go in and put in your numbers, and it'll tally everything up, right? So if you're wondering what your home value is, you can go to Zillow. If you car, if you're trying to figure out if you own your car, how much that's worth, right? NADA, Kelley Blue Book should give you good options there. Put in all your account info, and give you your tally right there. Does all the math for you, right? So, all right. Any questions on that? Any questions on the spreadsheet or entering or kind of the mechanics of how it goes? All right. Well, Chris, you just pop up and let me know if we have any.
I will, Ryan.
Like I mentioned. What's that?
We're good.
Okay, good deal. All right. So like I said, we balance our income, our expenses. Here's a few suggested guidelines, right, to kind of help you. A general rule of thumb is to keep housing costs under about a third of your income, right? Your gross income of what you're spending, right? So, if I make $3,000 a year, I need to try and keep my housing cost to $1,000 or less. Now, again, this will vary widely based on your personal, financial situation. If I'm making, I don't know, $15,000 a year, maybe I don't need to spend $5,000 on housing, right? So, it's just a general rule of thumb, and that includes upkeep of the house and utilities. So, another kind of general rule of thumb is transportation. You can see 15%. We want to try and keep our transportation costs at 15% of our income. So, again, if I make $3,000 a month, then I need, $450. 450 would be my total, spending limit. I'm going to try and keep for a car loan, for gas and maintenance and all that fun stuff, right? So, and then you can see debt's at 10%. Honestly, if we're counting emergency fund, if we don't have a fully funded emergency fund and we're trying to put toward retirement, then savings probably needs to be closer to 20. So again, that number could vary depending on how much you have saved already, and how well you're doing with your retirement goals and things like that. And then debt payoff, hopefully we can keep that to 15%. Of course, extenuating circumstances may occur, and the rest for the remaining $6.48, just go out and have some fun. Just go treat yourself, right? So don't forget to do that. But no, again, those are kind of general guidelines, right? So again, it'll vary depending on how much savings you have, how much debt you have, how much income, all of that good stuff. All right. So, and then finally, like I said, just make sure you're managing. Track those expenses. If you go a few days and you forget to go in and plug in your numbers or reconcile your budget, that's okay. That's where just hop back in, update it as best you can. Don't get discouraged, right? The key thing really is to make it a habit. That's really probably one of the biggest components with, not only budgeting, but, finances in general, managing money in general. If we can create new good habits like this, it makes it so much easier, right? It's for me, it's become such a, aspect where it's something where it's like automatic, right? You wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you get ready, right? You do all that stuff, you don't really think about it. With this is, our goal is to kind of get it the same way, right? At a certain time of day, or, we're used to just pulling up our account, looking at our budget, making sure everything's looking good, and then we move on, right? So, every day or two, great. Every few days, that's fine too. But just don't neglect it, right? Just make sure you're staying on top of things. Build into a good habit. After, a month or two, it should get easier, right? You're kind of used to it. You're just boom, going through it. Um, and then just making sure, right, we're keeping in our categories. If we said that, hey, we're not going to overspend on, a certain hobby we have, or getting coffee every morning, whatever it is, make sure we're kind of sticking to that, right? Look at our budget. Are we living within that goal we set? And of course, pay bills regularly. Obvious there. Not making payments, debt payments, bills can really throw a wrench in a budget, right? An emergency. That's why we have an emergency fund. Is to protect against those things. So, and then your goals and plans will change as well. As you get older, you have different goals, right? Maybe you starting off, you're just starting in your career, you want to get established. Then eventually, maybe you want to buy a house one day. Maybe you're family oriented and want to have kids, or maybe you want to, you decide you want to travel the world or retire by the time you're 45, 50, whatever it is, right? Whatever those goals are going to change. Just make sure you're incorporating those right into your spending plan as well. Um, and of course, anytime, January is a good time to do it. Major life events, good time to do it, right? So, and a couple of these, I think I mentioned already, some online banking tools. Looks like most of you are spreadsheet folks, so that's cool. But I mentioned some of these tools, the websites. I don't know if anybody's done the receipt method before, where you just keep your receipts, and you keep a box or a file of receipts, and you kind of go through it at a certain time of the week or whatever, and then tally everything up. I've known a few people who have used the envelope method as well. I think Dave Ramsey made that one fairly popular too. Envelope methods, if you want to go all cash, you can, you set your envelopes up with your different categories, right? I got a grocery envelope, right? An entertainment envelope, whatever it is. And so you put a certain amount of money in there, and that's what you use for the month. Once that envelope's empty, right? No more dipping into the grocery envelope to spend on the dining out envelope or whatever, right? So trying to give people a set limit. I know it's a little bit harder these days, right? I guess using cash is less popular, plus COVID and things like that. But just some options you can consider. And be aware of these too. Just a few tips here. Be aware of making sure you have an emergency fund. Like I mentioned, nothing can cripple a budget like a major medical emergency, like your roof caving in on your house, job loss, car problems, whatever. So we got to protect ourselves against that. Ideal situation is to have 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses in a savings account or a money market account, something that's cash that you have access to, right? So hey, if anything happens, I've got 3, 4 months, 5 months, whatever, that I can live and support myself, and I'll be okay, right? Nice cash cushion. No one ever said they wish they didn't have this much money, right? This much cash to fall back on. And so, like I mentioned, some of those things, just watch out and plan, right? Plan ahead. February, right? The holidays are 11 months away. Not too early to start thinking about that. If you're like me and you always plan on, setting aside a few bucks every month for the holidays, but then you end up waiting till the last, few months to do it. Now is a good time, right? Set up that holiday account or just set some money aside for the holidays, put a few bucks in there. It's a lot easier to, stow away 20, 50, 80 bucks, whatever you want to do on a monthly basis early. By the time you get to what, you want to buy, and right, we've got a huge chunk that we're going to have to pay for now. So same thing with vacations, plan ahead, right? Incorporate that expense into the budget, make sure we're planning. And I think we mentioned some of the spending leaks already as well, right? The unused subscription, ignored repairs, late fees, right? Keep your cars, your vehicles, your house, everything running well, maintenance up. That will definitely save you money. My dad is meticulous about that, and I don't think he's ever had a car that he hasn't got 250,000 miles out of. So it does work. Interest, avoid interest charges, trying to, look at your accounts too. Make sure you're not paying too much on your debts, that you're not paying fees for any type of financial services and things like that, right? And it's always good to, look for ways to save money through debt and savings as well, right? Let me say this. You know, we get asked a lot of times if, hey, I've I've got a lot of debt to pay off, but I also am not really where I want to be in my savings goals, right? So, what should I do first? Should I get rid of this debt? Should I put more money in my savings or retirement fund? And, again, the situation may vary a little bit, but, a simple guideline I like to refer people is, one of the first things you want to do is to have at least a small emergency fund set up, whether that's 500 or $1,000, whether that's 1 month of your monthly expenses. Try to get to that as quickly as you can, right? Because then that's going to be our buffer. And then look at any high interest debt after that, like the high interest stuff. Like if you've got credit card debt, right? That's a priority, definitely needs to go. If you've got, like, I don't know, any unsecured loans, payday loan, personal loan, whatever, right? You've got somewhat high interest, is not secured by an asset. Really look at being aggressive to paying that off. All right. And if we can try and pay that off as quickly as we can, then all right, let's look at getting our emergency fund bumped up and also making sure we're contributing to a 401k, right, our retirement plan if we have a match, right? If your employer offers a match, you definitely want to do up to that match to take advantage of that. And then after that, possibly looking at, okay, I'm looking pretty good here. Emergency fund's built. I'm contributing to retirement. Debt's in a good situation. Now, hey, maybe I want to pay down some of that moderate interest debt. I want to get rid of that student loan, get rid of that car, whatever it is first. All right. And then after that, just, pump up some investments. Maybe you want to, talk to your different, have different goals, talk to someone about what you can do to make your money work for you. Right. So,
Hey,
and
Ryan,
yeah,
I
shop
forgot
around.
about the most important thing.
Yeah. What's that?
Coupons. You got to
Oh,
incorporate
yeah. I know.
coupons
Right.
in there.
I know. Coupons. One of these days, Chris is going to, present a workshop on how to coupon for us, right?
One of these days. So
You
always
gotta
got
be,
to
you
get a
gotta
deal.
be, coupons work there, right? Rebate shops, or rebate sites, coupons, promo codes, look for that stuff. Couponing, we're looking at like, you gotta plan ahead, right? So you gotta look for coupons online, in the paper, wherever you find them, and then kind of wait to see when you're shopping for that item or when the deal comes up for that item in that store, and then hit them up, right?
He's exactly right. We'll get that in the next one. So
Nice, nice.
sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt.
and too, that, same thing, bonus and tax refunds. There may be another round of stimulus coming out. And, if so, think ahead. What are we going to use that for? Like I mentioned, is our emergency fund looking okay? Right. So we can maybe, if we have debt, let's, pay that off. If not, if we're good on our debt situation, all right, let's make sure we got at least a few months expenses covered. After that, if we got some other goals we want to plan for, right, consider those things as well. So, and then the last couple things here, just when you're doing this, let's say you notice some spending leaks where you are spending too much money and you didn't realize it. Um, the step down principle is kind of a method you can use to avoid or to help you achieve success a little bit better. A lot of studies have been out there that say, hey, if I'm used to spending a lot of money on something, right? Hey, I'm used to I like clothes and I like going out and buying expensive clothes every month or so. And I'm spending a good portion of my, I'm spending a good amount on that. If I try to say, hey, I'm going to stop completely buying a lot of these expensive clothes and I'm going to go straight to like not buying anything or, step down, then you've got a stronger chance of failure, right? From trying to from like 100 to 10 miles an hour rapidly. And so the step down is like, okay, well, maybe I just spend a little bit on clothes, or instead of going to, Saks Fifth Avenue, I don't know what an expensive clothes shop is, but, instead of going somewhere there, all right, maybe I'll go and shop at, um, Macy's or a typical department store or something like that. If I'm used to eating out or dining out, what, 5, 6 times a week, maybe instead of trying to go from like dining out 6 times a week to like one, maybe I start with cutting it down to maybe three and kind of, whittle my way down. So, but again, it's up to you. Your mileage may vary. It's something to consider if you've got some strong habits and feelings on what you like to do, right, for your spare time and stuff. And that's it. So remember, just, create your SMART financial goals. Um, Super important. Have those in place, ready to go. So you know how much you need to incorporate into your spending plan. Put that spending plan in action, write it down, write down all your income, your expenses, know what you're going to spend, keep track of everything every month, right? Super important. Keep reviewing it and, just kind of make your adjustments as you go. Think of it as a changing, living document that you're always kind of working toward, right? So, um, and lastly, I do want to mention this balance. It's a free service that's offered to all Delta community members. Even if you're not a member, you can take advantage of the website there. There's a ton of free financial resources, any topic. Like they have, I just sent someone the other day about some info. It's called a home buying toolkit. A lot of different stuff there and information on if you're looking to buy your first home. They have the same stuff on budgeting. Like they have different, cash flow statements and documents. They have articles, podcast videos. You go in, search what you want to, any questions you may have or what you want to learn about, and it comes up. And then there is a counseling service and coaching service where if you want to talk to somebody, and this is the part that's free to Delta community members, if you want to talk to somebody about your personal financial situation, like, hey, I need to improve my credit score. I need someone to look at my actual credit and see what I can do. Right? They're there to do that. Or hey, I need to get on a debt payoff plan. I need to, manage this debt. I've had a financial hardship. These bills are getting out of hand. Or if it's just, hey, I'm getting married, having a kid, I want to buy a house, right? Positive stuff too. And what do I need to do with my money in order to prepare for that? Right? They have someone that can look at, your personal situation and help kind of guide you through it. So 800 numbers there. I'm happy to send this over to Amy if you guys would like a copy of the presentation and a copy of the spreadsheet. I'm happy to send that with all the contact info there. So, and of course, the best part, we save the best part for last. And that's, contact Chris if you have any questions on Delta Community Credit Union or its membership accounts and services. Right. So his
Or just to
contact
chat,
information.
a little lonely these days. So either way.
Yeah, I know. It's tough for extroverts like you, right? You got to stay home, can't be out and about, mingling with
Exactly.
people.
Zoom
I
and
know.
Teams are my friend. So I'll send my information in the chat as well. So, but no, if anybody's had any basic questions, I don't know everything, just like Ryan, but we usually know who to go to. And we can help you out whatever your needs are. So, but no, thank you all for having us here. Ryan, you did amazing as always. So
I'll put that. I'll put that down on my LinkedIn then.
exactly.
Did we have any questions? Was there any other questions? No. We answered all of them. It was very thorough.
I think it was. I'm a little biased, but I think it was great. So
There you go. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Now I can see the chat a little better. Okay. Yeah.
there you
Let us know
go.
if you have any questions. Reach out to us too. If you have I think like I said, I'm happy to forward the information over to Amy. I'll copy Chris, but my contact information will be there. So let me know if anybody has any questions afterwards. So.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you having us.
There she is.
Ah.
Thank you. See, someone's in the office. All right. We'll see you next week.
Yes, thank you guys so much for, so sorry, so many technology devices. Thank you guys so much for your help. As always, we will be sending out a link to everybody with the recording. I believe I did have someone recording also for me earlier that started. So if you could share that link with me, because it looks like how I did it did not turn out. So if you could get that to me, and then they're going to provide, I believe you said, Ryan, that spreadsheet for us,
Yeah.
and then PowerPoint and balance links as well.
Yeah, I'll send that over. Is it okay? I have a survey link too. Is it okay if I include the survey link? They can take it if they have chance. It's just an online link. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get a passing grade, we have to let him go. So.
Oh no, you guys be kind.
So far, so good. Living moment to moment.
That's right. Well, thank you guys again. And if you guys didn't know, we do have 2 more Thursday next week, and then the following Thursday. So we got a lot coming to you guys. So if you did not get on the meeting invite for that or send that to Brittany Washington, make sure you do that, and we'd be sure to get you on there. You can also email me if you want to get on those 2 talks as well. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Have a
Thank you
good
so
one.
much. Y'all have a great day.